Alright, so live now. Oh, okay, cool. So with that, I guess welcome everyone to a nice brisk 6 a.m. At least Pacific time, my time. I am I'm TP Speed. I'm gonna be running Kingdom Hearts 90% beginner mode for you guys. This is gonna be a pretty lengthy run, so just brace yourself for a good time. It's gonna be a lot of fun. There's gonna be a lot to talk about, so it's gonna go by pretty quick. So with that, time is gonna start in 3, 2, 1, go. Now I hope you guys are ready for a solid 3 minutes of unskippable J-pop. So, this is normally where I'd spend a little bit of time to talk about the history of this run. It has a very long and varied history, but first things first, I'm going to go ahead and take this time to do a few shout outs. I'm going to give a shout out to very good friends of mine, one Mr. Shasta, as well as one
I've been having a
Winterbit,
weird
for
calls
both
lately.
being very encouraging and pushing me to keep getting better and better at my games. Um,
Like,
because I do run more
is
than
any
one.
of this
Uh,
spoiler or not?
um, I want to give shout outs to the Kingdom Hearts community for being so kind and helpful to me during all my time running this game. I've been running this game for about 4 or 5 years, and they welcomed me in with open arms back when I was running this on the PlayStation 3. Um, Same goes with Terizzle, who now goes by Rio Peace, Biscuit0427, and Bloody Biscuits for being what eventually, or for being the people that eventually got me into speedrunning. This is actually my very first speed game, so I've been playing this one for a little while. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about the history. This game came out in, I believe, around 2001 or so. Not a whole lot of runs of this game were done at the time because of one major thing. You could not skip any of the cutscenes in this game. It wasn't until about 2014, when the PS3 version was released, that more people started seriously speedrunning it. If I recall correctly, the very first world record for the PS2 version of the game was over 9 hours. World record for the PlayStation 3 version is about 255, and now, with the re-release on the PlayStation 4, that time has gotten even lower because it's taken out all of the load times. The world record for this game, I believe, is held by Mistmaster1, and it's around 2 hours and 11 minutes. So that's how far this game can be pushed. For the most part, all the time that is saved is because you can skip cutscenes, and the PS4 version is faster because loading screens, they're completely gone. But since this also runs at 60 FPS, it is a little bit faster, but it also means that there are some tricks that are a little harder to do. I'll point them out when they become relevant, but for now, we're actually just gonna go ahead and get straight into the run. With a section known as the Dive to Heart. Just basic tutorial stuff, left stick move, everything like that. First thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be choosing what is a power we want to gain and a power that we want to give up. For the rest of this run, we're going to be taking we're going to take the magic, and we're going to give up our defense. We're permanently going to have an extra point in magic, and we're going to permanently lose 1 point in defense for the rest of the run. That's going to be relevant for later. But for now, this is just going to be basic tutorial stuff, such as how to fight, everything like that. So if there are any donations, now would be a pretty good time to read them.
Sure thing. We have a $3 donation from Casey who says, three, quote, simple dollars for 3 minutes of, quote, clean, unskippable J pop.
Well, that was
At least this
beautiful.
song is fantastic. Thank you, Casey.
If you guys have puns, feel free to donate because I am a very big fan of puns. There's not too much going on right now. The game's just telling us the triangle button lets us interact with stuff and learning basic combat tutorials. There's a small trick you can do here, and we didn't get it. That's one of the tricks that got a little harder in 60 FPS. You can open the chest and jump backwards at the same time to get a little bit closer to that box. Now we're also going to be doing something that's going to dictate a lot of what we're going to be doing for the run. Something that's very unique about this run as opposed to most other RPGs is we are not going to be grinding whatsoever. There's going to be like a slight detour we're going to make to get some extra experience, but it's not going to be super long. It's only going to take about like 10 seconds or so. And what we did right now is we set up how quickly we're going to level up. We're on what's known as the Dawn route, which means you're going to level up very quickly in the beginning and very slowly as it goes on. But with the way everything's routed out, we're not going to have to worry about it. So what I did right there is just a little bit of enemy manipulation to trick these shadows, or as we like to call them, Albert, to jump all at once, and then by the end of that last combo I did there, we can take out as many as possible. Coming up, we have the first menu of the game, and this is why beginner mode is so fast. So when you start the game on beginner mode, the game gives you a wide variety of items. It gives you 8 power-ups, 8 defense ups, and 4 AP ups. We're going to be using all of the power and defense ups, and we're going to be saving the AP ups for later, because we're going to be using them for the one and only shopping trip we're going to do in the game. By using all of the power-ups and defense ups, it lets us scale to a point where we really shouldn't be in the beginning of the game. We're going to be beating things very quickly, as you can see by this first boss. Just going to take about 4 combos. It's a little messy because of that slap I got by Albert, but there we go. First boss done. Now we're going into the real meat and potatoes of the run. So there's not a whole lot to explain here. We're just going to be collecting items to advance the plot. In terms of story right now, we're playing as a character named Sora. And he and his friends, Riku and Kairi, just want to go out and explore the world. So they're spending the next 2 days gathering all the supplies they'll need to do that. So that's just what we're going to be doing right now. There we go. Once again, if there's any donations, now would be a good time to do it. Or if you have any incentives you want to plug, now's still a good time.
I do not, but while we do have a minute here, do you want to maybe plug the incentive for this run? I figured you could probably do a good plug since you are the one that proposed.
Of course. So during this run, there's a list of 5 Disney songs, and it's a current bid war. Anyone that donates for those songs, I'm going to be singing the 3 songs that get the highest donations. But not just that, there's also going to be a suggestion, like a song suggestion. So if you guys want to suggest something that's not on the list, it doesn't need to be a Disney song. It can be anything, such as the timeless Disney classic, Africa by Toto. And we'll be singing that throughout the run. We're going to be doing that primarily during the gummy missions when there's a lot of downtime, because those... there's not a whole lot going on at those, so it's pretty easy to do.
So currently in the lead with $50, we have You've Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story. And then the 4 remaining songs are all tied at 0. That is Hellfire from The Hunchback of Notre Dame, One Jump Ahead from Aladdin, What's This from The Nightmare Before Christmas, and You're Welcome from Moana. So if you want to pick really any of those or any other song that you can think of that's safe for work and doesn't break the Power Up with Pride code of conduct, you could donate any amount of money because any of the top 3 are going to get sung.
Shout outs to You Got a Friend in Me though for pulling up $50.
I guess someone really, really likes their Toy Story tracks.
Someone really into Toy Story, and I don't blame them. I am too. Personally, my favorite song to sing, it's a tie between You're Welcome and Hellfire. So if that's gonna motivate people, go for it.
I personally am pretty partial to What's This from The Nightmare Before Christmas, as that is a favorite movie from my childhood.
One is also very good. It's just, that one's also very hard to sing, but I like a challenge, so why not? So there's a little bit of speed tech here that we're going to be going into. This race, this is a race between Sora and Riku, so surprise, the speedrun's a race now. And we're going to be following a specific route to get through the race as fast as possible, and we'll know if we got it because, oh, well, that's never happened before. So now I'm just going to do the consistent way to win the race. Normally what would happen is I would jump across the pier, go down a zip line, jump across trees, and go straight to the end. But since hitboxes are a wonderful thing, we're just going to go ahead and do this semi as intended. Riku's just going to hang out on the tree for a second. We'll know if we got the fastest normally, because the fastest race possible, because the race doesn't end when you get to the finish line. It's based off of Riku's distance from the finish line. So normally, if you get a very fast race, you'll see Sora stop moving for a second, and then the fade out will happen. But since we didn't get it, we lost like maybe a second or two, but that's okay. We're gonna be having a little bit of fun with this run. I'm gonna try to show off as much as I can, like this neat little trick. Or rocks. That does not save any time, it's just fun to do. So this is, oh wow, really good RNG. So we have to grab 2 of those coconuts. Whoops. It's completely random when they will fall from the tree. So we just hit them twice, lock onto them, and lock onto the coconuts if they start to fall. If we target a coconut, that's a coconut we can pick up. 1 to 3 hits is actually pretty ideal. I've had it go from anywhere to a 2 to 6 before, so it can save you a lot of time, it can lose you a lot of time. But that's not going to be the only instance of RNG. There is going to be another section coming up towards the tail end of the run. Now we're just going to go ahead and end the second day, and now we're going to be getting to the end of the, for lack of a better term, prologue of the run. So in terms of plot, what's happening, you see that we're jumping back and forth between Donald and Goofy, as well as Sora, Riku, and Kairi on their island. King Mickey has gone missing, and Donald and Goofy are sent out on a mission to go find him. And Sora is experiencing the end of the world. There's no way around it. Just casually, you know, just what you do on a Saturday morning. Just get your bowl of cereal, plop down, watch your cartoons, and then watch the end of the world, you know, as is normal. So now he's been given the Keyblade, which is going to let us actually damage these Heartless, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to leave Owlette alone for a little bit. Not going to be a whole lot of fighting in this game. Until we get to like specific points where we have to beat ambushes or boss fights, which we actually have another one coming up. And this guy might look a little familiar. And it's your boy Darkseid. So I'm going to try to get this first combo out right here. And now we're just going to go ahead and attack the arms as much as we can. Ideally, getting full combos, and there we go. That was a really good fight. Now we're coming in to Traverse Town, which is a pretty short segment. This is where the worlds start to really pick up in pace. It's not until about the last 2 worlds where things really slow down with how quickly we're going to be burning through stuff. And that's just because the final 2 worlds are so long and have so much going for them. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to go into the second district. And this game normally wants you to explore around a lot, try to get things done, but what they dictate as exploring is, did you kill 5 Heartless? Yes, we did. So now we can go and continue the game. Saw me do a little bit of the same manipulation I did earlier there. It just helps get those 3 Heartless. And then I just get the last 2. Sometimes you can get 4, but that's a little rare. It's just going to depend on if they do the correct attack or not. Now we're coming up into another mini boss fight. So there's a little bit of RNG there. We want Leon here to jump at us, because that saves a little bit of time if he does, because it gets a full combo off on him. But if he throws the fireball, it's not going to lose too much time. There we go.
No way.
And now we're coming up to the grinding segment of this game. But first, we have a few cutscenes. Something that... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I've got a few donations if we've got some time while watching cutscenes.
Go ahead.
All right. We have $3.47 from Casey, who says, for the 3 minutes and 47 seconds of Take On Me by Aha, it's stuck in my head, so why not ask? Also, good luck to the runner. Great job on tree hopping. Thank you, Casey. I also have $10 from Otter Seaborn. It says, gotta stay at least 1 jump ahead of Riku, as for 1 jump ahead from Aladdin. I have $10 from Frollo, which I assume is for Hellfire. Thank you very much for that. And I have $50 from Nana T, who says, proud of yins, folks, XOXO. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for the donations. Really appreciate it. I promise you guys will hopefully not be disappointed by my singing. It's a little early. I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep right now, but I do have water to help keep my throat.
I mean, I think if you really want to make our singer's life difficult, you can donate for Take On Me by Aha, because the range requirements for that song are absolutely ridiculous.
Those are insane. I don't know how I'm going to manage that. I'll do my best. That was a really good combo. So, in an ideal world... Okay. In an ideal world, that ambush would have been taken care of by Donald and Goofy primarily. That last soldier would have been beaten by Goofy, but we didn't get that, but that's okay. So here we're just going to combo. This is the guard armor fight. First thing we're going to do first is take care of all the pieces, starting with the arms, because they have the least amount of HP. Then we go for the legs. And now we're just going to wait a little bit for the body. Come back down. And that's the boss fight. So, not even 20 minutes in, we are 3 bosses down. And I hope you guys are ready, because from this point forward, it's going to be breakneck pace up until about Neverland.
So,
There's also going to be the first and only glitch that's in this run, which I'm going to hype this up as best as I can. This is easily one of the hardest glitches ever to do, and I'm going to explain how to do it once we actually get there. But first things first, we're just going to be mashing through tutorials and text boxes. You advance text with the X and the triangle button, and I'm currently mashing with both hands, just because it's what I'm used to doing. We're also going to be doing the next menu of the game, which we're going to be equipping the Brave Warrior over. There we go. I blanked for some reason. That potion threw me off. So what I just did there is we equipped the Brave Warrior, which is an accessory that boosts my strength, and strength is going to be very important throughout the rest of the run. Over the ribbon, we're going to be selling the ribbon later on. We also took an ether from Goofy because he doesn't need it. We need it more. So here's the glitch. This is a very hard glitch. All I'm going to do is hold up. There we go. We made it. Most difficult glitch of all time. So that glitch is only doable in the English version, which came out after the Japanese version of the game. We're not sure why it's there, but there it is. Just a random oversight when porting the game, I guess. But to finish talking about the menu, we also equipped what's going to be our primary movement for most of the run, and that's going to be dodge roll. Dodge roll just gives us a really big boost of speed. Not the lack of a direction, but if we're really precise with it, it's not going to matter too much. We also, as I said before, took Goofy's ether, gave ourselves a strength boost, and that's just going to make everything go by pretty smooth. Also just going to be doing some last minute stuff, setting up for our return trip to Traverse Town, because we are going to have to come back here later. So if we set it up right now, it's just going to be a faster return trip. So there's not a whole lot to explain just yet. So if there's any donations or incentives you want to plug, now's a good time for that.
I do have one more. I have $10 from Jelka Mantis, who says, "We are getting around to our local Pride celebration, and I hope you have a great run. Thank you very much."
Thank you, friends. Proto's in the chat asking if I can explain the plot of this game in great detail.
Please, please do.
Okay, I can do my best. So are we talking of this game specifically, or are we talking of the entire series? Because if it's the whole series, oh god, I'm gonna be here until the next run, probably. So
I mean, I think you can explain as much or as little as you desire. I personally would love to sit here for 2 hours listening to the absolutely crazy plot that this series has.
Oh lord. This game is very famous for its convoluted plot, and Kingdom Hearts 3 did not make it any better. Kingdom Hearts 3 is a great game though, go ahead and play it. So, in the beginning, there were, I think it was the 5 or 7 Keyblade Masters, and then one other guy who wears a black hood. He ends up being very important later on. Before I continue that, we're going to be doing a menu very quickly. We're going to be doing the gummy menu. So now you're going to be seeing the gummy ship that we're going to be using for the rest of the run, and I'm just going to let it speak for itself. There you go. That's our gummy ship. We're just a flying tissue box. So, with this gummy mission, I can quite literally just hang out in the top right corner, and I'm not going to cut off the singing incentives just yet, because we have a much longer series of gummy missions coming up after we finish the Tarzan level. So I'm going to cut off the first song then. So I'm going to take the moment to explain as best I can the plot of Kingdom Hearts. I'm going to be honest, I don't fully know the plot of the whole mobile game, like that tie-in. I know that is the start of the Keyblade War, which is important to the lore, but all you really need to know is a bunch of people with these swords that look like keys. They fought a super long time ago. Didn't go so well. Don't recommend doing that again. But very, 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 very simply, a long time ago, about 10 years before this game, there were three people who were training to become Keyblade Masters. One of them, hitboxes are a thing, by the way. One of them was divided in half, a light half and a dark half, and an infant Sora shared his heart with him so that he could be whole, and I'm already confused now. I did my best.
That was beautiful. That was amazing.
It was a beautiful moment. But now we're coming into Wonderland, which is a pretty quick world, but it has one very frustrating fight that we're going to be doing in just a moment. A lot of people remember this world because it's a very confusing world to navigate, especially when you have to find evidence for this trial that we have coming up. But we're going to get through it pretty quickly. It's going to be very easy. There's normally about, I think, 5 or 6 pieces of evidence you need to find, but we're going to get through it all really fast. But right now, all we're going to be doing is just mashing through some text. There's going to be a small ambush here that we're going to take care of, because a mechanic of the game is if you are considered in combat, which is when the action window in the bottom left is red, you will not be able to interact with items. So we want to, for this place, we want to make sure that we're able to interact with items as best as we can. So just grab that potion for safety. And we have all the evidence we need. Nothing else. Flawless. This is going to go great. This is going to go absolutely perfect. Now I need to pay a little bit of attention to the way these boxes fall. I want to try to open the first box that hits the ground. I think it's going to be the middle. And if we did this right... Knew it. It was Goofy. Goofy tried to steal the Queen's heart. I knew it. I knew this was the worst timeline. So we didn't get the correct box. Normally, if we open the right box, a Heartless shows up and we'll still have Donald and Goofy to help us out with this fight. But I'm just going to have to settle with Donald, who is a character in an RPG. This fight also is going to be a little bit of wrestling with the lock-on system. There we go. And there we go. Goofy, how could you? So for that fight, it's a little weird. You have to hit the tower one time, like 1 to 2 times after the crank is destroyed before you can actually target it. And then you also have to hope that the targeting system doesn't want to target any of the card soldiers. Which, you know, sometimes that just doesn't happen. Like rolling into a wall. It's not a good time, man. I would not recommend it. But now we're actually coming up to the end of this world. We're gonna be doing a little bit of enemy spawn manipulation here. So the way enemies spawn in this game is based on where you are in the level's geometry, most of the time anyway. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be constantly avoiding landing on the purple floor underneath me, so that I don't spawn any enemies. Because we want to land just by this latch, and if we mash triangle fast enough, before the enemies spawn, we can actually open it up and go straight into the next boss fight. Roll it twice, hop up to this table, and now we're coming up into the Trick Master boss fight. This was a fight that used to be very different in terms of strats. What we would normally do is there's a chair off to the side, and we would hop up there and then just pummel away at the Trick Master, but we found out this is only possible in 60 FPS, If you just jump and then swing at the height of your jump, you can get 2 swings off on the Trick Master, and there we go, that's done. And just like that, we're now done with the second world of the game. I say second because we're technically not done with Traverse Town yet. We're not going to be dealing with that until much later, like towards the end of the run. A lot of this game is just moving forward, getting us scaled up, and then taking care of last minute stuff. Dog just woke up. We're on to the next gummy mission. Again, there's not a whole lot to explain, so now is going to be a very good time for incentives, donations, anything like that.
All right. I just want to take a brief moment to talk about the Trevor Project, the people that we are raising money for.
Real NPCs.
The Trevor Project. Oh yeah. The Trevor Project is the world's largest suicide prevention and crisis intervention organization for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning young people. The organization works to save young lives by providing support through free and confidential suicide prevention and crisis intervention programs on platforms where young people spend their time. Their 24/7 phone, lifeline, chat, text, and soon-to-come integrations with social media platforms. They also run Trevor Space, the world's largest safe space social networking site for LGBTQ youth, and operate in innovative education, research, and advocacy programs. It's a really good cause to be donating to, so seriously, get some money in. These people deserve it.
Honestly, the Trevor Project is a cause that I really stand by. It's a beautiful thing what they're doing, and I honestly cannot recommend enough people donating, not even just for incentives, but just in general. Whenever you can, anything helps. We're actually near the end of this gummy mission, and we're getting to one of the longer levels of the beginning game. This is also a level that changed a lot with the PS4 version. PS3 version, there used to be a lot of different strats that we would do, such as an old trick called Hippo Hop, which involved having very precise movement to jump on a hippo and then jump off of it at like the right time. It was rough. It was very hard to do. But with the advent of faster load times, we don't have to do that anymore. And it's good.
So it looks like our runner is experiencing just a little bit of technical difficulties. So just bear with us here while we try and get that sorted out. We'll be right back with
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. Alright. Okay, so that was weird. Thanks, Jerry. Jerry's just the best computer. Um, Anywho, so we're just gonna go ahead and get back into this. So, was the timer paused already or no? Okay. So we'll just start it up again when I skip this cutscene. So in 3, 2, 1, go. And now we're just coming straight into another boss fight. Boar's a little rough just because their hitbox is super low to the ground, and trying to get air combos, which is the fastest form of combat, is a little rough. Just because it's kind of hard to do when it's so low. Shoutouts to Jerry. Yeah, exactly. He does his best. He does great, but when he doesn't, he does this. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab that save point for later, and we're gonna go into here. And the fastest way to do a minigame is to not do the minigame. So we're just gonna quit straight out of it. Now we're just gonna be doing a little bit of work to pick up. Oh, well, I missed that one. So now we're gonna be losing a little bit of time. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab this one first. Normally we would have grabbed that one before grabbing that one in the box, but since I missed it, we're just gonna lose, again, another little segment of time. But that's okay. We're doing fine. So, in terms of what's happening right now, we landed here in the deep jungle to try to look for Riku and King Mickey, but we came across Tarzan, and he says he knows where they are. But does he, though? So now we're trying to see if he recognizes any of those images so that we can get an idea of where they are. And so now comes the first instance of a save warp. So normally, as I mentioned earlier, we'd be doing a trick known as Hippo Hop, but since we could do a save warp, it saves way more time because loading screens are great. For the most part, this world's going to be moving pretty quickly from here on out. It's just going to a lot of plot triggers, doing several ambushes, and then going into the boss fight. So now we're coming into the next trigger. Over here. And we're just going to hop back down into the minigame. A Sabor does spawn in here, but we actually don't have to fight them here. We're not gonna have to fight them again until a little later. Skip this cutscene, and now we're coming into the ambushes, which is where we're gonna see our first use of magic. Wow, really bad luck there. Our wilds are the Heartless that I'm fighting. They're pretty rough when it comes to their consistency of their movement and everything like that. Ideally there, if you're lucky enough, you can get 4 or 5 of them in a hit in a single blast of Blizzard, but we weren't that lucky. That's okay though. There's going to be more instances of that. But again, fastest way to navigate through a minigame, just don't do the minigame. So we're just going to quit out. Oops. Tried it too many times. Now I'm just nervous that Cherry's gonna crash again. There's no place for me to do, sir. Right, there we go. So that's the next ambush done. have 3 more to go. So this one we used to only do melee, but with the advent of taking Goofy's ether, we can now just do this with magic, and it's not going to matter too much. So we're just going to hop in here.
See ya, deep freeze.
Go. That one was actually pretty alright. So now we're gonna hop up. There we go. Just either to get magic back, because once again, we're gonna be using Blizzard. So the way that magic works in this game is its strength is directly tied to how much MP you have, what your max MP is, because game coding is great like that. There's no dedicated magic stat in this game like there are in the later games. There's just the MP gauge itself. So the more that you have, the stronger it is. That's going to be relevant a little later when we're going to be using our first summon. There we go. That's all of those fights taken care of. And now we're about at the halfway point of this run. We have 3 more fights to do. These are white mushrooms. There's going to be one other instance where we can see them in the run. And if we see them, there's a strat that we're not going to be able to do just because all we got to do is just get rid of them. But if we don't, we get to see a really cool fast strat. So now we're coming up into the second support fight. This one's pretty interesting. So we're just going to be on for some mid-air combos, and we don't want to do... There we go. Fight's a little annoying because if you knock Sabor away, sometimes they'll just jump straight into the bamboo, and you have to wait until they come back out before you can damage them again. But if we just stagger out combos like that, it's not going to be too much of a problem. So now we have one more ambush, and then we move on to the last boss of this world. From here on out, it's going to be a very, very big boss rush. So things are going to be moving pretty quickly, and we're also going to be seeing the first quick kill in Agrabah pretty soon. And climb on up. So now we have the black fruit, which to me looks like a rotten avocado, just a lot bigger. We gotta hit it 15 times. Well, there we go. It doesn't have a health bar. It's literally just set to be done when you hit it 15 times. So now we just got more text, somewhat like loosely following the plot of the movie. Now we're gonna go ahead and go save the gorillas. I'm just gonna hop off here, and it's gonna put us straight in the boss arena. That's the first phase of the boss done. Just stagger out 6 hits and you're good to go. And now Clayton has learned how to fly. This fight can be a little rough. Just gonna stagger out these hits here. Now, just like last time, we're gonna go ahead and just do 2 air hits until Clayton is dead. There we go. We're not done with this place just yet. Something that you may have just noticed there was I paused and there wasn't a skip cutscene option. That's because that there are actually specific points where the game wants you to skip the cutscene or will allow you to. So if you see me waiting around for a little bit, it's because I haven't reached that point yet. Yo, good platforming. On me, what are you doing? That was a jump. That was also a jump. That was also a jump. Alright, all I have to do is just jump up to this corner right here. There we go. Now we have a bunch of cutscenes. So right about here is where I'll cut off the first song, and I have a feeling I know which one it is, but what's the first song that we're doing?
All right, the first song is going to be "You've Got a Friend in Me" from Toy Story.
Alrighty, I'm gonna pull up the lyrics really quick, and I'm gonna wait until we actually get in to the gummy mission before I start singing. I got a little bit of phlegm in my throat, so I'm gonna try my best, but we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna mash through text, and then just a little bit of tech that I do before we start with this. We're gonna fly towards Wonderland first, just because it's a shorter gummy mission, and it gets us to Traverse Tower faster. So without further ado, you've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, just remember what your old pal said. Yeah, you got a friend in me. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. A friend in me. You've got a friend in me. You've got your troubles, I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We stick together and we see it through, 'cause you've got a friend in me. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. Folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too, maybe. None of them will love you the way I do. It's me and you. And as the years go by, friendship will never die. Gonna see it's our destiny. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. That's the first song.
This is
So
beautiful.
thank you. So now, if there are any donations, now would be a good time.
All right, we have $7 from Casey, who says, "Shout out to DJ Cutman for the fantastic tunes between games and during technical difficulties." Thank you so much, Casey. And that does bring "Take on Me" by Aha up into second, I guess now first place for the songs
Lord.
remaining. We still have 2 more songs to sing. And currently up in the lead, we have "Take on Me" by Aha, and then there is a tie between Hellfire from Hunchback of Notre Dame and One Jump Ahead from Aladdin for the third song that we're going to be singing. So, like, less than 50 cents for less than a stick of gum, you could change around which one of those you want to sing.
For one stick of gum. Take on Me is going to be difficult.
Oh god, yeah. Good luck.
Oh Lord. I'm just going to start drinking water now. This is a pretty long segment that we got going on here, so if you have anything else that you want to plug or talk about or anything like that, now is going to be a very good time.
Sure thing. So right now you are watching Power Up with Pride 2019 here on Twitch. This marathon is going to be running over the course of this weekend, 24 hours of the day, benefiting the Trevor Project, which is a fantastic, absolutely fantastic charity, which is providing suicide prevention and crisis intervention help for members of the LGBTQ community. It's a great event and a great charity, and there's a lot of really cool runs coming up. And also, if maybe you're not feeling like donating money towards the Kingdom Hearts songs, coming up not too long, we have a donation incentive for Silent Hill Homecoming during the spooky block, which for that incentive, if the incentive is met, then during the cutscenes of Silent Hill Downpour, the runner will play Silent Hill Homecoming, so you get 2 runs at the same time for the price of 1. So I think it's going to be really, really cool, and I would love to see that get met.
I actually didn't know that that was what was going to be happening. That's kind of awesome. Wow, that's gonna be pretty impressive, I'm not gonna lie. So right now we're just gonna be going ahead and finishing up some of what we have to do for Traverse Town. We just do up to a point right now, just so that we can advance the plot and actually unlock the rest of the worlds that we have to go to. We're also gonna be doing the one and only shopping trip that's in the game. You saw me sell some items earlier. We need to have at least 1,250. I think we have 1,276 of money, spelled M-U-N-N-Y, because, you know, it's perfect. Need all the money. So going on from there, we're just going to be doing a few more cutscene triggers. Also, a little bit of tech that we're doing here. We're just going to roll right on over to this lock. Door's gonna swing open for a moment, which means it's unlocked, so we can use it. Trigger this cutscene, and then we're basically done, besides having to buy 2 very important gummies that we're gonna be using on our ship. We're gonna be getting a better engine, or the Fyra gummy, and then we're also gonna be getting haste. Unlike most of the other Kingdom Hearts games, there's no real way to speed up the gummy ship missions. In this one, though, your engine will make your ship move faster, and haste gives you a little bit of a boost that lets you go through the missions a little bit faster as well. We're going to be constantly upgrading the engine throughout the run. And it's going to make the gummy ship's missions go by very fast. By the end of the run, it's going to be a little difficult to control. I'm just going to go ahead and get those gummies, and then we're going to move on to the next world, which is going to be Aladdin. Oh. I have forgotten to do the shopping trip before, and that has led to panic, just running into another store of, buy my things, please. I'm poor, I need money. Money for gummies. Now we're gonna go ahead and add on the engine. The way speed is dictated on the gummy ship is it's just based off of the fastest engine you have, so that's why I take off the other one. Having both of them isn't going to make it any faster, it's just there. We also warped to Neverland first because Neverland is closer to the warp hole that I have to go through. So now we're just going to go ahead and boost all the way through there until we get to Agrabah. Gummy missions are going to have a lot of downtime, so if you have anything that you want to plug, now is going to be a very good time once again.
Alright. I will briefly just give another quick little poke about the song incentive. Take On Me is going to be really hard to sing, so if you want to be sadistic and ensure that it happens, you can donate towards that, or with only a little money, you can show mercy and try to save our dear runner from such a terrible challenge, if you so decide. And of course, all of the donations that are sent in will be going to the Trevor Project, which is a wonderful charity providing suicide prevention services for members of the LGBTQ community.
All the songs that of literally all the songs that I thought would have been suggested, Take On Me was not one of them.
I was really thinking Africa by Toto was gonna get it.
Yeah, that was started at RPG Limit Break. I don't know how it came up, but it was J Hobbs and Spike on Rio's run because he did Jiminy Journal 100%, and they just brought up Africa by Toto, and people started donating for them to sing Africa by Toto.
I mean, who doesn't love Africa by Toto? It's an
No, it's a
excellent song.
wonderful song. So now we're coming into Agrabah. This is one of the more technical levels of the game. There's going to be a lot of very quick movement, and there's going to be a lot of boss strats. And I'm going to be pointing them out as they go, but it's going to move pretty quickly. So it's one of those worlds that's very much just blink and you'll miss it. So once again, we used to unlock a door up there, but now that we have the advent of save warping, we don't need to do that. So we're going to go ahead and set the magic carpet free. I'm going to grab this save point here. Also going to grab this Mega Elixir, which we're going to use at the very, very end of the run. It's not an exaggeration. It's only at the end of the run. And now we're coming into the next ambush, which is going to be our next little segment of leveling up. All the strats that we used to do here is we used to summon Simba and use him to clear everything out, but we found out it was faster just to use Blizzard or Melee whenever we were near the bandits here. We just got a few more. Yo. That one wasn't too bad. Now we're coming into the save warp, and then we're going straight into another boss fight against the pot centipede. There's going to be the biggest Kingdom Hearts meme coming up in a moment in the next world, which y'all will know it when it happens, but when it does, I want to need everyone in the chat to write, "Get me out of here." Now we're coming up onto the pot centipede. The first thing we're going to do is just save warp to Aladdin's house. The next room I'm going to be going into has a chance of spawning a Heartless called a Dark Fungus. If we get that, we're going to want to exit out of the world, or not exit out of the world, exit out of the room and go back in because Dark Fungus are very frustrating to fight. Okay, we didn't get it. There's going to be one other room they can spawn in. And if we get them, then we have to do the same thing. But it's going to be a little bit more time if we get them in that room. So I'm going to do a menu here really quick. We're going to change our Keyblade and our other item. We're going to give Goofy the EXP ring. And I'm going to go ahead and equip scan. And it's just nice for a visual cue for how much health the enemy has. And that's going to be a little useful later on. What makes Dark Fungus so frustrating to fight is that they have a lot of health, very high defense, and they can temporarily decide to just become invincible, as you do. And you have to wait until they turn it off before you can do anything else. So now we're coming up onto the pot centipede. The first thing we're going to do is we're just going to get 2 combos off while he's in this corner. And then we're going to let him get ahead of us. If we're not careful, we will get deflected like that off the rest of the pots. And now we're just going to combo him down. This is an interesting pattern he's giving me. There we go. And now, if we're quick enough, we're going to want to dodge roll past that black line. We didn't make it. So it's a centipede made of pots. So normally, what will happen is for some reason, while you're in that boss fight, it loads everything as this whole area as one large room, but it will start you out in the room corresponding to where you're at. So if we're quick enough, we can get into the room that's closest to the desert and get into this boss fight against the Cave of Wonders itself. This is an interesting boss fight with strats found by J Hobbs. We're going to do some rolls over here, and then with some precise jumps, we're going to hop on up here. And then we're just going to do 1 to 2 swings on his eyes, and just hit him through the back of his head. Occasionally, we'll get a whole 2 tech points, which is just a whole 2 experience. And now we're just gonna air combo his other eye, which I'm gonna miss, so I'm just gonna play this safe. Yep. And now we got an ability called the Hurricane Blast, which is going to be very useful throughout the rest of the run. It's what's known as a combo modifier, and it's going to be adding additional effects to our combos or even changing the finisher. And it's going to give us a very high damaging ability. You also notice that I edited Aladdin's abilities. It's going to be important for this next upcoming boss fight, even though he's not in the party yet. We're going to be using him for that fight because he's very important to get in the quick kill. Because Jafar is one of those fights where you can it's either going to go very fast or you're going to lose a little bit of time, depending on how quickly it goes. Now we just got some cutscenes to skip through and some plot triggers to reach, and then we're just going to go ahead and dive straight on into the boss fight. And I have to remember to put Aladdin in my party and to not fall back into that room, which I have done a lot of lately. Sometimes that camera likes to just swing around and throw you off the map because this camera is great. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to swap out Donald for Aladdin because Goofy does more damage. And now we're going to go into the Jafar fight. I'm going to need a little bit of serious time, so I'm not going to be commentating this. I'll explain everything after the fight's over. And we didn't get it. So ideally, he wouldn't have flown away like that. So now this fight's gonna take a little bit extra time. Big oof. But I'm gonna try to bait him over here. And he's gonna teleport away. So we just lost some time over here. This is a pretty rough fight starting out. It took me a little bit of time before I was able to get the quick kill. But once you can get it, it's not as bad. You just have to make sure that you're able to consistently get it. Which is... Come on. It was almost a 2 cycle. So about like 1 or 2 more hits and then he should be done. Safety. Ideally, you can beat him before he leaves the first platform, but I wasn't unfortunately, I wasn't able to stop him from leaving. If you can get him before he flies off the first platform, he'll do an AoE attack. And while he's doing that attack, you can just damage him freely. And then by the time he does it, he'll have like almost no health left, as you can get 1 more combo off on him before the fight ends. So now we're coming up onto Genie Jafar. We're gonna just dump a bunch of Blizzard into the Genie himself. And then after we do that, we're gonna go ahead and just combo straight into Iago. We're only going to hit him like 1 to 2 times right now until he starts flying in a particular pattern that we want, because we're manipulating him to give us that pattern. There we go. 1 bad fight, 1 really good fight. And I think actually, no, there's 1 little strat that we're going to do here. Because remember how I kept saying the best way to do a minigame is to not do a minigame? Well, now we're gonna have to do this minigame, and this is the hardest minigame. Oh man, I bet the rocks. Oh, this is rough. This is hard. I don't know if I can do it, guys. I'm taking a lot of damage. No. I think I was making it too hard, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. Shucks, I died. So if you couldn't tell, that was intentional. That was found by... There's going to be a lot of strats like that were found by Spike Vegeta, who, if you just... He found out that if you just die during that minigame, it'll just end the minigame. So you can just end it a lot sooner than you thought you would. But I think with that, we're going to go ahead and cut off the next song incentive. So what's the next song we're doing?
All right, so the next song, thanks to a last-minute donation, is Hellfire from the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, you saints.
We have a donation from Adon. I'm sorry, I don't know. For $1, who says, "Hi, I'm Casey's, aka the person who got Take On Me to the highest bid, husband, and I feel pity for TP speedrunning. So here's $1 for Hellfire. Thank you, Adon. Although Take On Me is still in 3rd place, so it's still on the table.
We'll save.
Okay,
I'll save what I was gonna say for after Hellfire. So without further ado, I'm just gonna go straight into Hellfire because this gummy mission is not gonna take super long. Maria, you know I am a righteous man. Of my virtue I am justly proud. Beata Maria, you know I'm so much purer than the common, vulgar, weak, licentious crowd. Then tell me, Maria, why I see her dancing there, why her smoldering eyes do scorch my soul. I feel her, I see her, the sun caught in her raven hair is blazing in me out of all control. Like fire, hellfire, this fire in my skin, this burning desire is turning me to sin. It's not my fault, I'm not to blame. It is the gypsy girl, the witch who sent this flame. It's not my fault if in God's plan he made the devil so much stronger than a man. Protect me, Maria. Don't let this siren cast her spell. Don't let her fire sear my flesh and bone. Destroy Esmeralda and let her taste the fires of hell, or else let her be mine and mine alone. Hellfire, dark fire, now Gypsy, it's your turn. Choose me or your pyre, be mine or you will burn. God have mercy on her. God have mercy on me. But she will be mine or she will burn. Drink some water.
Thank you. That was excellent.
Thank you very much.
Still care about
So just a little bit about this world that we're coming into right now. This is another boss fight where we're actually going to be abusing a stun lock. In an ideal world, this is going to be one of those levels where one of those fights where we don't want the allies to help us, because if they do, they're going to throw off. They're going to throw off the stun, and it's not going to be a good time. And if everyone in chat could please spam "get me out of here," that would be great. Go. And we're just gonna go ahead and look at the boy. Now, just like that, we're about halfway done with this world. We're gonna have one more menu to do very quickly. We're gonna be equipping a very important ability that Goofy just got called Cheer, and that's going to boost the strength of our summons. We're also gonna equip MP Haste onto Sora. We're gonna give him the 3 Wishes Keyblade. Then we're also going to be getting High Jump. You can beat the game without High Jump, but for us, it just makes it a little bit easier if we get it. Yep. Now, here, there's another rare Heartless we can get here, and we didn't get it. So I'm going to have to navigate through here kind of quickly. There we go. Air soldiers have a chance to spawn in there, and if they do, it's not a good time, because they like to snipe you and stop you from moving. So now, once again, we're going to be repeating the same strat. We're just going to be trying to stun lock the Parasite Cage here. We also just equipped the 3 Wishes Keyblade, which is the Keyblade we're going to be using the most throughout the game. Okay, that's bad. But while that black orb is exposed, we do double damage, but it's faster if we just get the stun lock on the Parasite Cage, which now it's gonna be a little tricky. There we go. Not too bad. Now we're coming up on the next world, which actually has a lot of really neat movement tech and some pretty interesting boss fights. We also just got a spell that's going to be very useful later on, and that's the spell Stop. This next coming mission is pretty short, so I'm going to keep the bid war open until probably the next one. So if you guys want to snipe, you have until the gummy mission going to Neverland before to snipe anything. But for now, if you have any donations or incentives that you want to plug, now will be a very, very good time.
I don't have anything in particular I want to plug, but I am prepared to fill time with bad jokes if you'll allow.
Oh, go for it. I'm all about bad jokes.
All right, so there's this guy. It's long, so just stay strapped.
You're good. You're good.
There's this guy, and all his life he's wanted to be a train conductor. So he goes to train conducting school and he gets his train conducting license. So he's going around conducting his train when he sees a hobo sitting by the side of the tracks. And he says, you know what? There is nothing in this world I hate more than hobos. So he turns the train around, runs over the hobo, kills him. Very sad. So he gets written up for the Grand Marshal and sent to the electric chair, and they're in Great Britain. And the rule is, if you get sent to the electric chair and you survive 3 shocks, you get to go for free. So he gets written up for the Grand Marshal and sent to the electric chair, and Torturer Bob is there. And Torturer Bob says, okay, you get 1 request before you gotta try to survive 3 shocks in the electric chair. What'll it be? And the train conductor says, go to the middle of the Amazon rainforest and bring me back a red banana. So Torturer Bob takes a SWAT team, goes to the middle of the Amazon rainforest. The entire SWAT team gets killed off by rabid monkeys, but Torturer Bob manages to come back with a red banana. Train conductor eats the red banana, survives 3 shocks in the electric chair, and he goes for free. Now, his train conducting license has been cut, so all he can do is run trains around back and forth in the train yard. So he's running trains around back and forth in the train yard, back and forth and back and forth, when he sees some bums sitting by the side of the tracks. And he thinks, you know what? The only thing in this world I hate more than hobos is bums. So he turns the train around, runs over the bums, kills them. Now, he gets written up to the Grand Marshal and sent to the electric chair again, and Torturer Bob is there. And Torturer Bob says, okay, so you know the drill. What do you want this time? And the train conductor says, go to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean and bring me back a red banana. So, Torturer Bob takes the SWAT team and some scuba gear, goes to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. The entire SWAT team gets killed off by rabid sharks, but Torturer Bob manages to come back with a red banana. Trick Conductor eats the red banana, survives 3 shocks to the electric chair, and he goes for free. Now, by this point, his train conducting license has been cut so far that the only thing he can do is sit around in the little train ride at the Walmart. So he's sitting around the train ride at the Walmart, going at a cruising 5 miles per hour, when he sees a mascot sitting by the side of the tracks. He says, you know what? The only thing in this world I hate more than hobos and bums is mascots. So he turns the train around, runs over the mascot, and doesn't kill it because the train's only going 5 miles per hour. But he still gets written up to the Grand Marshal and sent to the electric chair, and coincidentally, Torturer Bob is there yet again, and Torturer Bob says, what do you want this time? And the train conductor says, go to the base of an active volcano and bring me back a red banana. So, Torturer Bob takes a SWAT team, goes to the base of an active volcano. The entire SWAT team gets killed off by rabid lava, but Torturer Bob manages to come back with a red banana. Train conductor eats the red banana, survives 3 shocks to the electric chair, and he's about to go for free. But Torturer Bob says, wait. Every time you've come here, you've had me get you one of those gosh dang red bananas, and every time you survive 3 shocks to the electric chair. What is it those red bananas that lets you do this? How do you survive? And the train conductor says, I don't know. I guess I'm just a bad conductor.
My God. That is not right.
I've gotten word from our restreamer that I'm hated, so you're welcome. I'd like to thank Power Up with Pride for letting me come on their stream.
I have a much shorter joke, but it's also just terrible.
Please.
The heads up, I'm a very big fan of anti-jokes.
Oh gosh, same.
Horace walks into a bar. Several people get up and leave as they see the danger in the situation.
See ya.
That's the joke. That's the whole joke.
Thanks, I love it.
I have one more really quick one before I start explaining some strats in this. So, a man, or a gorilla walks into a bar and orders a banana martini. The bartender, very confused, soon realizes that this situation is too absurd and realizes that he's having a dream. He wakes up from the dream, then turns over excitedly to tell his partner about the dream he's having. But his partner doesn't do anything and doesn't react to it whatsoever. The man then turns over and cries because his marriage is in shambles.
Oh.
Again, big fan of anti-jokes. So we're coming up on another. Proto just hit me with the wow in chat. So now we're coming up onto another few boss fights. But before we do that, I'm going to talk about the very quick menu that I just did. There's also a nice cool strat I can explain right here. So I'm going to go ahead and clear out these heartless called White Knights here using some melee and some fire. We're going to hop onto this tombstone, onto this one, and then we're going to dodge roll twice, and I'm going to mash triangle, and we can skip having to fight an entire ambush and go into the coffin, which is what we need to do so that we can do this minigame. So for that menu that I just did, normally what would end up happening is in the old route, we would keep Jack in the party just because it's... Okay, so... we would keep Jack in the party just because it's easier to replace Donald because Jack does so much more damage. But now we don't do that anymore. What we do is we take both of his ethers away, which we're going to use later on, and we now also routed in a power-up that's in that pumpkin that I got earlier. When we do that menu, we also use the power-up because that makes it's going to make a lot of boss fights a lot shorter. The difference between the two is quite literally 2 full combos versus a combo and 2 hits. Which doesn't sound like a lot of time, but trust me, it is. That the final boss fight of this world takes quite a while if you don't use that power-up. In terms of plot, what's happening right now, Dr. Finkelstein is trying to perfect creating a heart, and Oogie Boogie, being the resourceful man that he is, had Lock, Shock, and Barrel steal the heart. So now we have to go and try and get it back. If you have any more bad jokes and/or donations and incentives to read, please go ahead.
I have more bad jokes. I've got one that's about as long and about as disappointing, and then I've got another one that's longer and more disappointing.
Okay, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do a really long joke right now because I have some movement tech that I'm gonna explain in just a second.
Come on.
All right, I've got like a short one.
Okay, short one's fine.
So why doesn't Julius Caesar ever pick up his cell phone?
Yep, is what?
His cell phone?
Why?
Because he's dead.
Oh, this is the start of a beautiful friendship.
This is how I get bad for Power Up with Pride, and they never let me back.
Power up with pride, please keep both of us. So this is some movement tech I believe was found by Bloody Biscuits way back when. Normally there's a trinity that you have to do where you open up a door, but just by doing some pretty precise platforming, you don't have to do that anymore. And then J Hobbs contributed this jump right here. That saves about a second. There we go. And now we're coming into the next boss fight against Lock, Shock, and Barrel. This boss fight's a little tricky because once again, their hitboxes are very, very small, and they also do very damaging attacks. From this point forward, bosses are going to be killing us in about 2 to 3 hits. And since we're fighting all of them at the same time, it's a little annoying. We're just going to go ahead and take care of the first two. Care of Lock and Barrel first, and then we go straight for Jacques, who likes to run around and jump, which makes comboing him much easier. There we go. Oh, I have to remember to hit the lever. Everyone get your Konami Pachinko machine memes ready, because we're gonna hit the lever. We're just gonna mash through this. If we don't hit this lever, we actually can't gain access to the Oogie Boogie boss fight, which means we waste a lot of time. We're just gonna roll on down here, take one big jump, and we're gonna land in front of the door. This boss fight is another instance where we do not want Donald and Goofy to help us. And I imagine this was a fight that frustrated a lot of people, because Oogie, you deal some damage and he knocks you off. The way that this fight works is you have to deal with the traps that Oogie lays out for you, and once you do, you have the chance to trap him. And we want to trap him without Donald and Goofy helping us. If they're helping us, we end up losing time, because if, the time period ends for when we can damage Oogie after we hit him 9 times. And Donald and Goofy do add to that hit counter. And I missed. That's first. So now we're gonna have to sit through this attack. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cast fire on him a few times, because he does take light fire damage. We have to wait until this finishes. We're gonna try to knock the dice away. Nothing worked out. This fight is gonna be a little slow. Like here, just to be safe. This is the first time I've ever had this happen, so sorry about that. Wow, that was weird. Very active hitboxes. If he's on the stairs, we can trap him because Donald and Goofy, they can't get up there. Oh, wow, I got stuck. Oh, I might die. Also, this targeting system for stopping me from getting him. That's never happened before. That was a first. That was actually a first. So this is a run. This is definitely a run.
Cue the that's never happened before count.
Exactly. I've said that, what, like 3 or 4 times now? In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and start asking chat to start placing bets on run. Something coming up. So the next bit of RNG that's coming up is Neverland itself. That world has a random chance to spawn. It's a 70-30% with odds in our favor that it'll spawn. Okay, don't hit him, that's bad. That's good. And if we miss it, we lose 20 seconds. So how many times do you guys think I'm going to miss the world? My record is 7. Okay, so now we actually made up for that really bad fight for having a really good fight. Oh, really good fight. Got some 2s, we got some 3s. Someone said 15. If it's 15, I'll just kill the run at that point because I don't want to. We've already had my computer reset. I don't need to do anything else for Power Up the Pride that long.
If it gets 15, that just proves that this run is truly, truly cursed.
This run is just the true cursed meme. Marathon luck plus never happened before plus RNG 8. So for this boss fight, there's going to be these little black blobs that are all around this house because Oogie Boogie is a house now. And we're just going to do 2 air hits and then a full combo, and then they're done. There's not much else to explain. It's just going to be comboing. If we can reflect a fireball back into them, it saves a tiny amount of time. That one's a little tricky to get. There is a zip we can do here, but it's a little hard to do. And, well, it looks like I'm going to go for it. So if we just hold it. There we go. I almost got it. That's not the only instance of where you can do a zip, but it's mostly enemies that do zipping. We might see some of it in the very next world against Anti-Sora, which is the fight that I've practiced the most for this run. It's still a very hard fight. That strat that I just did right now was from my Mistmaster. It just skips having to run all the way back around to climb on up. Instead, we can just jump and grab the ledge, hop on up, and it saves about a second or so. But with that, we're done with Halloween Town. Now, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the song for the bid war. So I have a feeling I know what we're doing, but please surprise me in what are we doing? What's the song we're doing?
I've got a surprise for you, my good friend.
What do we got?
We have, with $15, One Jump Ahead from Aladdin.
No way.
That final donation that put it over was $5 from Hairball CT, who says, 2 guys walk into a bar, a 3rd guy walks under it. Thank you so much, Hairball CT.
Hairball CT with the vocal cord saves. So, I'll tell you what I'll do. Since Take On Me did raise some money, this is going to be the last Disney song I will sing. However, I will save... I will keep song, like suggested songs, if anyone wants to suggest a random song, open until the final gummy mission of the game. So when we're going to the world known as End of the World.
Ooh, so we've got a 4th bonus song.
Yes, and that one is going to be just for suggested songs. So without further ado, we're going to jump in to One Jump Ahead, which is a pretty short song. I keep one jump ahead of the bread line, one swing ahead of the sword. I steal only what I can't afford. And that's everything. One jump ahead of the lawman, that's all, and that's no joke. These guys don't appreciate I'm broke. Riff raff, street rat, scoundrel, take that. Just a little snack, guys. Rip him open, take it back, guys. I can take a hint, gotta face the facts. You're my only friend, Abu. Who? Oh, it's sad Aladdin hit the bottom. He's become a one-man rising crime. I'd blame parents, except he hasn't got 'em. Gotta eat to live, gotta steal to eat. Tell you all about it when I have the time. One jump ahead of the slow pokes, one skip ahead of my doom. Next time, gonna use a nom de plume. One jump ahead of the hitman, one hit ahead of the flock. I think I'll take a stroll around the block. Stop thief, vandal, outrage, scandal. Let's not be too hasty. Still, I think he's rather tasty. Gotta eat to live, gotta steal to eat. Otherwise, we'd get along wrong. One jump ahead of the hoofbeats, one hop ahead of the hump. One trick ahead of disaster. They're quick, but I'm much faster. Give me a second, I gotta do the menu, sorry. Here goes. Better throw my head in. Wish me happy landing. All I gotta do is jump. I'm doing so many of these just into the world, and that makes things a little iffy. But now we're coming into Neverland, which thankfully we got on the first try. Oh, Lord. So I did a very quick menu there. I'm going to do another one a little bit later where I added stop to my customize. And I did that just for a little bit of safety in this upcoming boss fight. There is a strat that I'm going to be going for that involves me hitting... it's going to involve me hitting Anti-Sora on a very particular frame so that I can keep him set in a stun lock where he's constantly in a loop of disappearing and reappearing to attack me. It is very difficult, so most people opt for stop strats, but this is a faster strat. So I'm going to need a little bit of serious time for this fight. I'm in a very weird position. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use this stuff here. I've just added some much needed consistency to this fight. So the thing that makes this fight a little frustrating is imagine a boss fight that has the same properties as the shadows normally, which is they can decide on a whim to phase into the ground, and the frame that they do, they are completely invincible. But by doing that loop, we can effectively skip that happening. It is a little rough to go to because to get the frame for it, you have to hit Anti-Sora just as... Oh, no, we don't want Pumpkinhead. You have to hit Anti-Sora just as he finishes his swing. So right now I'm going to do a quick menu because we're going to want Peter Pan in the next fight, and we're going to want him to use a lot of his items, but we don't want him to use any of his special attacks. There, I got Cheer on Goofy. Yeah, we're good. Hey, yeah. This run's going a little all over the place. I'm just going to be a little bit safer and take a little bit more time on the menus to make sure I got everything. So now we're going to see the first instance of using a summon. And we're going to summon Simba for this upcoming ambush. I'm going to go ahead and run in here. Get this cutscene, and then as soon as we're able to, we're going to switch out Dolan for Peter Pan. There we go. Summon Simba right away.
Get me straight.
Strats that we used to do on the PS3 version of this game, which ran at 30 FPS, is we would pause buffer, which saves time and helps reduce lag frames. while summoning animations are happening.
Courage.
Wow, okay. Push up here to be safe.
Give me strength.
Now, this is the reason why we need such high magic, and that's because our magic and how high it is going to directly correlate to how much damage our summons will do. And we're going to be primarily using Simba throughout the run. The only other summon we're going to use is Dumbo for a skip we're going to be doing later. Also about to see some strats that are going to affect a few bosses that we're going to be doing later. So this is Captain Hook. Normally a pretty rough fight, but he's one of the very few bosses in the game that you can just cast Stop on. And now he's just stuck like this. And we're just free to combo him as much as we want. And as soon as this is done, look at his health. He's done. Okay. If you have any donations, bad jokes, incentives, or anything like that you want to talk about, now is going to be a very good time.
I do. I have $20 from I'm so sorry. Lena Leah. It's not even hard. I'm tired. For
okay,
$20, thank you so much. Who says, I want to donate, but I don't want to get in the way of terrible jokes. Oh, don't worry. You won't. And also, there's a way around this, which is that you can donate, and in the message, you can say a terrible joke. And if you can't think of any terrible jokes, just Google it. I won't tell anyone.
Secret
I also have $15 from Trixie Fox, who says, Rider to be named Trixie. That, of course, is donating for the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Character Names incentive. Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise is a Final Fantasy IV randomizer where you are given the Enterprise airship right at the beginning, and it opens a lot up. And that's going to be taking place later this evening at what I would call Pumpkin Hour. And then do I got time for one more?
Go ahead.
I have $5 from Casey, who says, Did you know that during Neverland, Sora doesn't have a shadow until you defeat Anti-Sora? I did not know that, but that's pretty cool. Thank you so much, Casey.
I also did not know that. So right now I'm just doing a quick menu. We're just going to be equipping a few abilities and a new Keyblade, the Fairy Harp, which is going to increase how much damage we do. I also equipped an ability that's known as a Limit, called the Ars Arcanum, and we're going to be using that a lot throughout the run. Limits are forms of very powerful, for lack of a better term, combo attacks that happen when I activate them. They consume magic and they give me very, very powerful attacks. We're going to be using them a lot throughout the run, now that we have ours in particular. And we're actually, the first instance we're going to be using it is actually coming up against this fight against Opposite Armor. We're also going to be getting our final summon of the game, which is going to be Dumbo. So now we're just going to go ahead and normally we can just hop across these platforms, but if we just glide, it's a little bit quicker because Sora has a little bit of landing lag when he jumps and lands on the ground. So this just skips having to wait for that to end. So now we're going to go ahead and fly on over to the second district. For doing this quick enough, enemies should despawn. There we go. Once again, we're just manipulating the geometry to make sure that I don't spawn anything else. There is going to be a group of Heartless up here I do have to take care of first, so we're just going to use Ars Arcanum straight through it. And that's generally, the first showcase of how strong ours is. We're going to be using it once again in this next fight coming up. We also equipped another combo modifier called Air Combo Plus, and that adds one additional hit that I can do while I'm in the air. That's going to be very important for later, because it allows us to effectively add more DPS to our combos. And that's going to be very, very useful for a fight against Dragon Maleficent, who is a fight. It's a pretty rough fight, not because of it's a pretty rough fight, not because it's particularly hard, but because Dragon Maleficent does a lot of damage. And if we're not lucky, we'll just be constantly getting hit. So here, we're gonna guard, target this arm, R's through it. And if we're lucky, we'll do it again. I actually don't have R's right now. Attack again, and it's not doing that. So we're just gonna go ahead and fight the pieces normally. You do have to take out the all of the pieces before you can actually take care of opposite armor proper. Plus, it also just does a lot more damage if you do. A little bit of trouble right now. There we go. Nearly done now. There we go. And just like that, we are now officially done with Traverse Town. In the old route, we used to get Dumbo much later, like after the first run of Hollow Bastion. Now we get Dumbo sooner, just because we're going to be using him for the first instance of a strat known as Dumbo Skip. There's going to be 2 instances where we do it, and I'll be sure to point it out when it does happen. We're also going to be going into gummy menu customization. We have a few cutscenes coming up right now, so if you have anything you want to talk about, now's a good time.
Absolutely. We have $5 from Xandra, who says, "Good morning, folks. I was worried that waking up to this game would be a bit too heavy, but I was wrong. I know now, without a doubt, Kingdom Hearts is a light. Keep up the wonderful work, everyone." Thank you so much, Xandra.
Don't understand what the heavy pun is with the... If heavy is supposed to be a pun.
I think it's because, like, light and Kingdom Hearts and lore. This game's got lore.
This game has a lot of lore. Very deep lore. Now we're going to be adding on the final engine for our gummy ship, which is going to be the Flare Gummy. This is going to be the
I gotta know.
Yeah?
You keep calling it a gummy ship. Is it like made of like is it made of gummies, or is that just like a?
So according to the lore,
Okay.
I'm not even kidding. It's actually like in the game. The gummies are like an actual like sticky substance that you can stick together to form ships and things like that. So yeah,
All right.
it is an actual thing.
So is it just like really sticky in there?
It's sticky, and you can like only get it from like a meteorite or something like that. It's weird. It's
Wild.
very weird, but it's how people
Wait.
get around.
Okay. Maybe I'm asking the wrong question. But so the parts that you need to build spaceships, you can only get from meteorites, which, correct me if I'm wrong here, are traditionally in space. So how did they make the first one?
Don't worry about it.
all right.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
You're right, of course. My bad.
Understandable. Have a nice day. If I remember correctly, Ansem, who is the main villain of this first game.
Okay, wait. I know there's like 4 Ansems.
No, there's not 4 Ansems. There's 4
Okay.
Xehanorts. There's
Right,
13
okay.
Xehanorts.
my bad. Sorry. Keep going. I know nothing.
Ansem initially, a meteor that has gummies lands on his planet, and then he finds the gummies, and then it just goes from there. It's a whole process.
Gotcha.
That's one of the things that you don't need to look into, but there's a lot of there's Ansem reports, which are like little bits of lore that you get as you play through the game, and everything about that is in there. Ansem is also responsible for creating the Heartless, and it has all of his research notes and everything about it. That's what the whole Ansem reports are.
Nice.
So now we're coming into the longest level of the run. So very quickly, I'm going to go ahead and do a menu. We want Goofy to have Tornado. Now, this is where the plot actually affects the gameplay a little bit. Because we have our friends right now. We also have the Keyblade. After this cutscene, you're going to notice something very different. Oh. Our party is gone, and now we have Beast. And also, I don't have the Keyblade anymore. I just have a wooden sword. Reason being, our friend Riku, effectively, so this actually does tie back into the lore. The actual lore reasoning for it is because the Keyblade chooses who wields it, and it was originally going to pick Riku. However, what ends up happening is Riku gets consumed by the darkness, gets teleported somewhere else. The Keyblade sees Sora and is just like, it's close enough, and chooses Sora for the moment. Then when we find Riku again here, the Keyblade's like, yep, there's the chosen one, bye, and just goes to Riku, chooses him, and Donald and Goofy are supposed to follow whoever has the key, so they just go with Riku, because real friends, am I right?
Wow.
That's the actual lore reasoning for it. We do get it back in a little bit, but for right now, unless we're casting magic, we can't do any form of damage to any of the Heartless in the game. I also forgot to put gravity on. We also got a spell earlier called Gravity, and that's going to be the most it's going to be the most useful spell that we have in the game. Reason being is because Gravity is the only spell in the game that does % health damage. We're going to be using that a lot to take care of a lot of different Heartless, particularly a kind of Heartless called Invisibles. They're the only regular Heartless in the game that has what we call a DM, or a Desperation move. Typically, Desperation moves are defined by if the screen goes dark and the enemy is invincible. Bosses usually have them. We're coming up on a boss that has one in a second. Yo, we trapped Beast in the cage. Sorry.
Would it be possible to dodge one of these desperation moves by slide?
You can dodge them, but sliding, nah, man, you can't do sliding.
So you're saying that I can't slide into those DMs? Sorry.
Had to work for that one.
I'll have you know, I took second place in a pun competition like 3 years.
Oh, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So now I'm just gonna roll into this corner, because if I do, enemies will despawn and then we can use the elevator sooner. Go. So for the DM skips, they're a little rough to do because you have to be doing damage pretty consistently, and you also have to be damaging the enemy and getting them into a loop of constantly flinching and retaliating against you. That's a little rough to do with especially this upcoming fight. Riku 1 doesn't have one, but this fight is a little hard because Riku loves to move around. So part of the reason why I equipped the ability Tornado on Goofy is because it's going to help keep him in place, and that's going to let us do a lot of damage to him. So most of this fight, we're just going to let him come to us. So he's sliding into our proverbial DMs, as it were. he actually does slide across the ground. A little bit of problems right now. Go ahead and just use ours to his attacks right now. Oh, he did not do... He normally has a retaliation where he spins around in place. There it is. He didn't do it at all during that fight. That was really bad. That fight's a little rough to do just because if it gets out of hand, it gets very hard to gain control of the fight once again, but once you have control of the fight, it's pretty easy to just finish it up. So now we're just going to be doing some library puzzles, which quite literally we're just putting books and shelves and then moving on. There's only one book, though, that we're not going to put, and we're just going to keep that book for the rest of the game. Power Up and Pride does not condone stealing from your libraries. Don't do it. It's not a good time. Would not recommend. Don't ask me why I know that. So we're just going to take this green book, and we're just going to have it for the rest of the run. You can't read the book. I like to imagine it's just a book that's filled with a warning for the rest of the games to come. But Sora just chooses not to read it.
I like to believe it's just because Sora can't read. He just doesn't know how.
I mean, that's equally as possible. Anything is possible if you believe hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's just some light puzzles that we're doing, such as just lighting candles, using trinities, things like that. So if you have anything else that you want to plug, now's going to be a very good time.
All right. Well, I would like to briefly give a plug for the final song that we're going to be singing during this run. So at the very last Gummy mission, we are going to be singing one last song. Well, I say we. Our dear runner is going to be singing one last song. And this song is restricted. It's a bonus song that we decided to add, and it's restricted to only suggested titles. So when you make your donation, you can suggest a custom song, and as long as it's safe for work, we will put it in the running. Currently in the lead is Take On Me by Aha at $10.47, which is with some absolutely insane range. So I wish you the best of luck with singing that, as always.
It's gonna be a moment. The timeless Disney classic Take On Me by Aha. As we all know, sang in the song, yes, in the song, you know, that movie. Sang in the movie, Robin Hood. Now we have just a little bit of navigation here. We're just going to be, once again, ignoring a lot of fights. We're going to be doing a little bit of enemy manipulation here. Wait a second. Play over to this platform here. And there we go. And then, okay, so weren't as successful, but Goofy did kill one wyvern. Oh, they dropped elixirs. I didn't know that. Neat. So we have an extra elixir for this upcoming fight, which is going to be very useful. We're only really going to need one, though. And that actually just skips out a menu of having to equip it. So now we just have another bit of an auto-scroller. Now is as good a time as any for bad jokes or anything else with that.
All right, so I got a
plenty
bit
of time right now, so you can do one.
Okay, all right, great. I'm trying to pick which one I want to do. Yeah, all right. So there's this guy, and he moves into a new apartment, and his new apartment is right next to a monastery. And he's going about his day in his new apartment, and one day he starts hearing this weird buzzing noise coming from through the walls, and he's like, the cuss, what's up with that? So he goes and he pokes around, and he walks around outside trying to track down the source of the noise, and he comes upon the monastery that he moved right next to. And he goes up to the head monk at the monastery, and it says, "Head monk, what's this weird noise that I keep hearing coming from your monastery?" And the head monk says, "Well, I can't tell you. You're not a monk." So the guy says, all right, I guess that's fair enough. And he goes back to his house. But days go by, and his curiosity only grows to the point of insatiability. He needs to know so desperately what it is that this head monk has that's making this weird noise. So he goes back to the head monk. He says, head monk, what'll it take to become a monk? I really want to know what this noise is. And the head monk says, all right, go to the back of the monastery and go through the door back there. And he goes to the back of the monastery, he goes up to the door, and the door is locked. So he goes back to the head monk, and he says, head monk, I need a key. And the monk says, oh, here you go. So he goes through the door down the hall, and he finds another door. And he says, okay. And then he goes back down the hall and through the door and back up to the head monk. And he says, head monk, I think I need another key. And the monk says, yeah, okay, of course, here you go. So he goes through the door and down the hall and through the door and then down another hall, and he finds another door, but this one doesn't have a keyhole. So he's like, all right. So he goes back down the hall and through the door and down the hall and through the door and down the hall and through the door and back up to the head monk. And he says, oh, head monk, I could use like a crowbar or something. And the monk says, yeah, I think I got one in the tool shed. You can go and pick one up. And he says, all right. So he goes and gets the crowbar and his 2 keys, and he goes through the door and down the hall and through the door and down the hall and up to the other door. He takes the crowbar and he pries the door open. And he comes upon one final locked door. So he goes through the hall, down the hall and through the door, and down the hall and through the door, and down the hall and through the door, and back up to the head monk. And he says, head monk, I need one final key. And he gets this very ornate, golden-looking skeleton key from the head monk. Head monk says, you are ready. Go through. So he goes through the door and down the hall and through the door and down the hall, trips, falls, scrapes his knee, says, gosh darn it. So he goes back down the hall and through the door, down the hall and through the door, back up to the head monk. He says, head monk, I scraped my knee. I could use a Band-Aid. And monk says, yeah, no problem. I've got Spider-Man and Hello Kitty. What do you want? And he's like, I guess I'll take Hello Kitty. Gets a Hello Kitty Band-Aid, gets a little kiss from the head monk, and he's back on his bed. So he goes through the door and down the hall and through the door and down the hall and through the door and down the hall and through the final door, and he sees this beautiful ornate tree. And the buzzing sound that he heard is louder than ever before. And he pokes around, he climbs the tree, and he's looking, and he figures out the sound is coming from beneath the tree. And he says, all right. So he goes back through the door and down the hall and 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 through the door and back to the head monk. And he says, head monk, I need an axe and a shovel. And the monk says, tool shed, baby. And he says, yeah, okay, of course, probably could have guessed that one myself. So he goes back to the tool shed, gets the axe and the shovel. He goes through the door and down the hall and 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 through the door and back to the tree. And he spends hours painstakingly chopping the tree down and eventually digging up the stump. And he digs and he digs and he finds, buried underground, is a shoebox. And the noise is louder than it's ever been before. And he goes and he opens the shoebox. And do you want to know what was inside?
What?
I can't tell you. You're not a monk.
Okay.
I'll take my bad now. You're welcome.
So this upcoming boss fight is a little rough.
Yeah, I totally talked through the first phase of that boss. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, you're fine. That was a completely separate boss. This is a new. So just give me 1 second. This fight is a little. Okay. There. So remember how we cast stop on Captain Hook earlier? Yeah, we're just gonna do that again. This is the only other boss in the game that we're gonna do stop on. And look at the damage. Have to mash it out pretty hard if you're gonna be doing it with the 4 air hits, just because it's a little precise. Your head down. Why did I say hair? It's gonna be a little close. Yeah, I didn't get as much damage in as I should have on the first one. This is a fight that does give me a lot of trouble. Nearly done though. 2 more combos, which should be good. If I die here, I do have to start the whole fight over again, and that does lose a lot of time. Definitely the slowest fight I've had in a while, but still, I will take not dying there. And now we're coming up into the first instance of a DM skip in the run. We're going to be going up against Riku 2, and this is a pretty rough fight. Just so I can get a feel for where we're at, what's time at right now? There's a way to know.
It's like you're at 1 hour, 56 minutes, and 55 seconds.
It's not too bad. Considering everything else that's happened in the run, I will take that. Alright, so this fight is a little tricky. So I'm going to go ahead and just add in this elixir here. So we're going to be going for a stun lock here in the first phase. If we hit Riku about 4 times, he will go into a spin counterattack, and then we just have to keep consistently hitting him. So I'm going to focus a little bit for this run, or for this segment. Okay, so we didn't get DM skip, but we did get a lot of damage in, and that's perfectly fine. So while he's doing that attack, while he's starting it up, we can't damage him. Oh, it's close. That game was a lot of time. And then, he's doing it again. I usually get that about 2. We can't damage him at all, and he's also going to be doing a lot of damage to us. This is a reminder, we are on beginner difficulty, and he's still doing a lot of damage. Like, look at where our health's at right now. And we didn't get it. Okay, that was close. Okay. Here's how every boss is named Walk-On. I know, right? But now we're going into what I think is one of the more interesting segments of the game, and one that's not explored a whole lot. We become a Heartless. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but yeah, we ended up becoming a Heartless, and then we just set ourselves free because we decided we don't want to do that anymore. Are we still under 2 hours right now, or are we getting a little close?
We are barely under 2 hours, like 30 seconds.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Proto. I appreciate it. There's not a whole lot to explain right now. It's just going to be a lot of movement to get back to the start of this level. So if you have anything that you want to plug or talk about, go ahead.
I have a $20 donation from Casey who says $20 for Dumbo Skip. Thank you so much, Casey.
There's going to be 2 more instances of Dumbo Skip coming up. One is going to be very, very big, and then the second one is going to be the first one that we saw as well.
And since it looks like we've got just another second here while we've got cutscene percent going on, I would like to briefly, yet again, plug there is a donation incentive for Silent Hill Downpour. If met, then during the cutscenes of Silent Hill Downpour, the runner will be running Silent Hill Homecoming. So it'll be 2 Silent Hill runs happening concurrently by the same runner, which I think is going to be really cool, and I personally really want to see that get met.
Yeah, I want to see that too. That sounds like it'd be really, really cool. I'm a big fan of simultaneous runs, and that's just one of those things that I'm always psyched up about. So now we are coming very close to the end of this run. We have just a few more bosses, and then it's going to be over. There's also another instance of a save warp here that's going to save a little bit of time. Normally we would use a Trinity to go into the waterway, but instead we're just going to go ahead, go in here. the gummy ship, and we're gonna land once again in the Magician's Study. It's actually a very neat little cutscene glitch that is here, but since this is the run, I'm not going to do it. If we have enough time and staff is cool with it, I will show it off, because there are several cutscene glitches in this game that I think are very funny, and I would like to show off, but we'll see. So we actually didn't get it. The way to tell if that you did get it is Sora will do a landing animation and he'll be slightly off center. But we still have plenty of cutscene percent going on, so if you got anything else, go right ahead.
I will take a moment to briefly talk about the Trevor Project. These are the people that we are raising money for with this charity marathon. The Trevor Project is the world's largest suicide prevention and crisis intervention organization for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning young people. The organization works to save young lives by providing support through free and confidential suicide prevention and crisis intervention programs on platforms where young people spend their time. It's a really, really great cause, and I'm really glad that we're raising money for it, so those donations in.
Yeah, Trevor Project is doing the best work possible, and like, especially, oh wow, my stuff keeps showing up, I'm not sure why. As someone that only like just recently discovered, there's no microphone that I can use. Sorry guys, stream's over, can't use my microphone anymore. As someone that only like just recently came to the realization of being neutral, it was definitely a jarring experience, for lack of a better term, to find out, just because I wasn't aware of what resources there were. But thankfully, I had a very strong support system, and I'm aware of like the privilege that brings, and I know that the Trevor Project seeks to kind of help people that don't have access to that kind of thing. So that's something that is very meaningful to me, and I honestly am just glad to be able to do something to help out with that, even if it is just beating a game very fast.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Of course. This is another good time.
Get very fast, and don't forget telling just really, really bad jokes, like just so bad.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of bad jokes, now's the perfect time.
All right. I've got a long one. I've got another long one, and I have also a whole bunch of short ones. So what do we have time for?
A few short. Well, you could do actually do a few short ones, because this gummy mission is going to be ending pretty soon.
All right. Why can't dinosaurs talk?
They're dead.
They're dead, yeah.
I heard that one.
So 2 muffins are in the yeah. A lot of these are kind of common, but I don't care. So 2 muffins are in the oven, and one muffin says to the other one, "Hey, it's getting pretty hot in here." And the other one says, "Oh my God, a talking muffin!"
I've heard that one too, but I love that one.
So dumb.
So, what I just did right now, was another strat found by Spike Vegeta. He had a run that was going very terribly, and during that gummy mission that I just quit out of, he died, just because he was just kind of tired of it, and he just wanted to try to die and see what would happen. And then he realized he could warp straight to Hollow Bastion, which is what I just did right now. So, yeah, that's that strat. It saves a little bit of time. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and just do a quick few menus here. I'm gonna go ahead and take off. We're gonna give Goofy MP Gift, which is gonna be the only ability that he has for the rest of the run. We're also going to go ahead and switch out to the Oathkeeper, which is going to be the Keyblade that we use for the rest of the run. Also, shoutouts to Spike Vegeta for just being unintentionally a wonderful, I'm not quite sure what to call it, a strat finder person for this game. Now we have the next instance of Dumbo Skip coming up. Let's summon Dumbo right now.
Courage.
Hear me mashing circle because one of Dumbo's mechanics is he can fly a little bit, and if you just keep mashing the jump button, you'll continuously gain height up to a point. But we just go up to that archway, fly all the way across, and we don't have to navigate through Hollow Bastion. The old strat, like the very, very, very early strats for this game. Oh wow, that's a sound in my ear right now. It's, I don't know what's causing that. Okay, there we go. We're good. Technical difficulties, yay. The very, very, very old strat, like when we still used what's known as sword route or strength route, would get an item known as the Divine Rose Keyblade, which has the highest strength in the game, but we don't need to do that anymore. Someone in the chat says, I could tell you what that sound was, but you're not a monk. Rob to me. They know.
Audio is absolutely impossible. As someone that's run in-person events with like headsets and mixing boards and junk, audio is impossible. It's impossible.
It's a scary process. So now we have one last instance of Dumbo Skip coming up, and it's gonna be sadly the final time that we see Dumbo. So everyone, brace your Bible thumps. We're gonna have to say goodbye to the elephant friend.
Is there a Dumbo Thump emote?
No, but there should be. There 100% should be. So here we go. This one's a little bit tricky because a lot of projectile enemies spawn here, as well as wyverns, and wyverns are just frustrating.
Give me strength.
Bye, Dumbo, you beautiful, beautiful elephant friend. Go. That was a little close. With that, we are now no longer going to see Dumbo. Now we're coming up into the next boss fight, and then we have the final unskippable cutscene of the game. It's a good time for a bathroom break if in the middle of the run, which is what I and a lot of other people use it for. It's also a good time for donations and everything like that. But this next fight, excuse me, I have hiccups right now. This next fight's actually not too bad. This is the Behemoth. We're just gonna be walking up to him, doing a few combo attacks, going straight into Ars. A very common thing you're going to see me do is when I'm using Ars Arcanum, I'm never going to be using the final blow of it. I'm always going to be using just before it, up to the second to last hit. Now once again, we're just going to go ahead and combo him down. That hitbox is very weird. Why do I still have stop equipped? And so long as Goofy keeps giving us magic, we can keep using ours, which means we're going to be having very high damage output. And about one more ours should do it. That's close. All right. So, now, this is going to be the unskippable cutscene after this text, and once again, we're back into cutscene percent. So if you have anything that you want to do, bad jokes, plugging anything, go right ahead.
Sure thing. I've got a $15 donation from Hairball CT who says, kicking 15 to SH downcoming. I don't know what that means.
I don't either. Oh, that's Silent Hill downpouring.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
I got you.
That
I
makes
just
so much more
pieced it
sense.
together.
You are
We may never meet
much smarter
again,
than I.
but we'll never
Thank you so
forget
much for that donation. I will give a quick update. Take on Me by Aha is still in the lead for our final
Besides,
community
I
chosen
couldn't
song to
forget
be sung
you,
during the
even
last
if I
Gummy
wanted
mission at
What's that supposed to
$10.47.
Sounds like I'm gonna be doing Take on Me.
It sounds like you are.
Unless someone wants to snipe right now, because after I reach the save point, I'm gonna be cutting it off.
I'm just saying, you know, so anyone could, in theory, change it just if they wanted to. You have the power.
You have the power, but do you have the heart?
And
We'll have to probably, if I am gonna do it, I'm probably gonna have to change it to my octave because I definitely can't hit those high notes.
it's futile. that song spans like 3 octaves. I've tried.
They made that song and they were just like, yes, try karaoke, do it.
I hear if you drop a heavy object on your foot, it makes it easier to hit the high notes, though I've never tested it myself.
I'd rather not do that though.
Yeah. Power of the Pride does not condone or endorse hurting yourself for the purpose of hitting higher notes while singing.
That's a bad time.
It's not a good time. You don't like to see it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just gonna. Oh no, that's a problem. So we just got the last piece of equipment that we're going to use in the game, which is the Omega Arts. And before I can continue, we're going to go ahead and cut it off. So I'm assuming I'm doing Take On Me.
Just give it a quick refresh to double check. And yes, you are doing Take On Me by Ah.
Boy. Okay. I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm not going to be able to hit those high notes. Walking away. I don't know what more to say, I'll say it anyway. Today is another day to find you shying away. I'll be coming for your love, okay? Take on me. Take me on. I'll be gone in a day or two. Oh, needless to say, I'm odds and ends, but I'll be stumbling away and slowly learning that life is okay. Say after me, it's no better to be safe than sorry. Take on me, take on me.
me.
Take me on.
Take on me.
I'll be gone in a day or two. I'm gonna have to stop right there because this world is really intense.
That was
Sorry.
excellent.
I tried my best even with a kind of janky throat right now. So these are in the invisibles, and I actually just realized right now I messed up my menu because I was supposed to have gravity on my shortcuts, and I didn't. That move that they just did where they go invisible is the Invisibles DM. Until they end that attack, I can't do any form of damage to them, and as soon as they start it up, I also can't do any damage to them. It'll just be reflected. There we go. There's not a whole lot to explain to this area. It's just going to be a lot of, as soon as I find my way. Wow, I wasn't even paying attention. Whoops. It's just going to be a lot of combat and just navigating this invisible hall. So if you have anything that you want to plug, any jokes or anything like that, go right ahead.
Sure thing. So in addition to the Silent Hill Downpour donation incentive that's coming up, we also have character names for Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. And then also, there's a lot of donation incentives for Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise that I want to talk about. We have the choice of a final boss sprite. For those who don't know, within the Free Enterprise community, it is a common sort of running meme, I guess, to change the final boss, Zeromus. It took me a sec. Yeah, Zeromus to various other things. So I've seen Discord with Discord Miss. I've seen Galeem from Super Smash Bros. With Galeemus. Some really cool stuff. Right now, available for the final boss fight, we have Cartoon Villainess and the video game Villainess. So you get to choose between one of those. And also, for Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise, you get to choose the music that is played on the Twin Harp. And that is, there's a song from the Super Mario Bros. Series, and there's a song from the Pokemon series up to donate for. And that run's going to be later tonight, going for part of the overnight schedule, pretty late. But it's going to be really great. I love watching some Free Enterprise. It's really cozy. Great thing to watch late night, maybe as you're going to sleep, or maybe just as you're getting up if you're one of our European viewers. So make sure to donate for those incentives and tune in for that.
Free Enterprise actually sounds like it's going to be a cool time. I've actually never seen a Free Enterprise run.
Free Enterprise is awesome.
It sounds like it's really cool. So this fight did not go as planned, but that's because the behemoth here actually, he can clip out of bounds, and if he does, you're not going to be able to hit the horn. No such luck. So that enemy has a 5% chance to drop an additional Omega Arts, that last item I got. It does save a little bit of time because it boosts my strength quite a bit, but it's not going to be the end of the world if I don't get it. So before I forget, I'm going to switch out that for the Ray of Light, and then Dolan needs Cheer. Okay. So now we're going to be using a lot of Simba, and we're coming up onto possibly one of the hardest segments of the game, known as Final Rest. Before we get there, though, we do have a few more ambushes to take care of, which we're going to be using Simba. And we are also going to be going into another boss fight. End of the World is known for being one very large boss rush. We're going to get into detail with the strat that I'm doing here. We're going to summon Simba, and we're going to try to stun these enemies as quick as we can, and then if we do it right, we will be able to use Simba to wipe out every single wave without having to do any fighting. I use a visual cue, which is very different from a lot of people in the run that run this game. They tend to just do what are known as ticks, which is the little flash that Sora gets. My visual cue is when the Heartless start coming at me. I'm gonna get it. So it's faster just to leave the room and respawn the Heartless just to try again. And if I don't get it, we'll just go through it normally. It is a little tricky with this cue that I use, just because the air soldiers do move very quickly. But once you get it, it's smooth sailing. There. So now everything is stunned. Very close. And now we're just gonna wipe this room. And it's the final wave right here. So we're gonna just grab that elixir for safety. Now we have 2 more ambushes that we're required to do. One of them is going to be a mechanic, is going to be using a mechanic that we didn't see in the run until this point, and that's because we skipped over doing Atlantica, or Little Mermaid. But now, it gets its cameo. We're mermaids now. Goofy's a turtle, I guess.
Fire! Fire!
Once again, with this enemy, we're going to cast Gravity. It's doing its work. Go ahead and cast Fire. I have no idea why that keeps popping up right now in the corner. Headset. No microphone. Sorry, guys.
Fire!
Yep. So now we have one more ambush, which is unfortunately a hallway that is just filled with invisibles. But since we have gravity, it's going to make very quick work. of all of them. Just for safety, we're going to go ahead and run in here, grab the save point, and we're also going to grab this Mega Elixir here. And that should be the last one we need for the rest of the run. So, here we go. We're just going to wait for invisibles to spawn in. And now we're just going to do invisible spam, because as they come to us, should get hit with it. Don't, we can just combo into them like this, and there we go. Oh no. Yeah. Okay. So normally if you do that, it will respawn the Heartless, but thankfully with this room it doesn't do that. If you finish a wave, you finish it. We're good. Sorry. Go ahead and take a moment to equip Air Combo Plus if I'm able to, which I am not prepared for it. It's going to make this fight go by a little faster if I do. So one of the mechanics with fighting while aerial is no matter what, I am always going to be doing max damage, even if I do a finisher, so it'll still do the same amount of damage. So it's just faster just to do the first, in this case, 4 swings, because I added another modifier. I'm just going to go ahead and climb up and down. I also earlier equipped an ability called Leaf Bracer, which we're going to be using a lot. It's a very helpful ability that makes it whenever I cast the ability or the spell Cure on myself, I gain invincibility until the spell is cast. And if I just keep casting it, it lets me avoid taking any damage whatsoever, as well as gives me healing when I need it. So with one last combo, we should be done with Chernobog here. There we go. Keep wanting to reach over and like hit my split button, even though I know that I'm not running a timer. So now we're coming into Final Rest, which is a very, very scary area. So I'm gonna go down here. I'm also gonna go ahead and just for slightly faster movement, I'm gonna equip the Super Glide ability. Super Glide is the fastest form of movement in the game, but we don't get it until here. Now we're into Final Rest. It starts with... Oh, that was new. Starts with this Behemoth, which we're going to kill, and then we're going to go straight into one very long ambush. Use the elixir here to get up to full stats. And here we go. This is a very difficult strat, so I'm just going to go ahead and stop talking for a moment.
Fire! See ya! Force! Force! See ya! Force! Force! Donald!
Very scary. Yep. I was in a very bad spot.
Come on!
He's in a very bad position right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and just use ours right here. The trick to that strat is I also have to make sure Donald and Goofy are alive, and I also need to make sure I have over 3 bars of magic, otherwise I can't do a summon, because we need to summon Simba for this fight as well. So it is a little tricky. Dying at the beginning where I did is not going to lose me too much time.
See ya, force. See ya, force. See ya, force.
Deathless runs of this game are very few and far between, so it's okay.
Come on. Force, 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 force. Come on.
One more time.
This should help. Fire!
I'm gonna grab these 2 high potions just to be safe.
Fire!
I really don't want to use magic to heal Dolan and Gooby.
Force, force, force. See ya, see ya, see ya, see ya. Come on.
There.
Donald. This should help.
It is starting to get a little dicey. Also down.
Heal.
Wow, this is the hardest this fight has been in a while.
Heal. Heal. Donald.
Okay. So summoning Simba from right here is very risky, but I was able to do it pretty quick, so this should be fine. From here on out, if I have to do fully charged Simba attacks, and then from there, we're good to go. Yeah, we're good to go.
Courage.
Normally, you would want to do it by the door, just because you're guaranteed to be safe, but if you summon fast enough, you're good to go. Sorry the end of this game has been so sloppy. Been practicing.
It's
Again?
difficult stuff. It's totally understandable.
Yeah, I've been trying my best. It's just, this is definitely the hardest part of the run. That's the hardest room of the run, and we just got through it. So we have just one more quick little menu. So if you have anything that you want to plug, anything like that, now is going to be the perfect time for that.
I do have a handful of donations that came through at the end during that flurry of fighting. I have $50 from Casey, who says, I was never expecting Take On Me to actually get sung. Fantastic job by TP Speedrunning and the commentator for a beautiful duet. Worth every penny. Also, fantastic run. I love you both. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Casey, I appreciate it.
I also have $10 from Xandra. That Aha song touched me. How can it be? Believe me, the sun always shines on PB. I assume that's a song. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is. Best of luck with the run. You got this. Here's more money for that Silent Hill Downpour run within a run incentive. I really want to see that. Me too, Xandra. Me too.
Sounds like it's going to be an awesome run within a run.
I've also got $50 from SSFSX17149. Thank you very much for that. And $5 from Trixie Fox, neither of which have any comments. Thank you to both of you for your generosity.
Thank you to everybody that's really donated. We're coming into the end of the run right now, and it really means a lot that you guys are able to give anything that you can. And thank you again for Power Up with Pride for letting me do this run. There's a lot more, frankly, a lot of very, very good runners out there, and I was very surprised and happy when they took the run in. So with that, I'm just gonna be going straight into commentary for these next few fights because this is the final boss rush of the game. We have Ansem 1 here. In an ideal world, we can get him pinned into a corner, which he doesn't feel like doing right now. And then we can just R's straight into him. But he's gonna fly away like this from time to time, so we just get a combo on whenever we can. The next attack he's gonna do, okay, that's bad. R's. That's the Goofy for the target. Have him in a very good position right now. Go. So now this next coming segment is pretty rough, just because we're going to be doing 2 boss fights back to back by ourselves. We'll just do one last ability check. There we go. So I'm going to use this cottage to get up to full stats. And now we're coming in to the first fight, which is, once again, against Darkseid. Except he's going to use this brand new attack, which we can use to get in a bunch of damage in on him. Go ahead and just R's into him. Or... and about 3 more hits and he should be good. It's close. Go. Try to pop an elixir, and didn't get it in time. So now this is the next time where we're gonna go for a DM skip, so I'm gonna focus a little bit here. We didn't get it. We were really close. He's guaranteed to do it once he reaches his second to final health bar, which is that little yellow one there. But if you're quick enough, you can actually hit him with an R's just before he goes into it and skip past it completely. Unfortunately, though, we weren't able to do it, but since he did just hit us with his submit attack, we can beat him without him doing it again. There we go. So now we are coming in to the next final phases. What's your time looking like right now?
You are at 2 hours, 36 minutes, and 3 seconds.
It's okay. That's still good. My PB is a 2:37:18. So this is still going to be a totally fine run. We should finish well under estimate, even with everything. And once again here, we're just going to be doing 4 empty hits. And here we're going to be using a Leaf Bracer through these lasers.
Heal.
Arrow again. This is also the first and only time we're going to be using Arrow in the game. Arrow is just a spell that adds a defensive, a little bit of extra defense to us. Because normally Ansem is going to kill us in about 2-3 hits. This gives us a much needed buffer for that, as well as letting us heal up when we need it. Leaf Bracer through it. Leaf Bracer is going to be the most useful spell that we're going to be, most useful ability that we're going to be using throughout these next few phases. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and just using Elixir right now. Now we're coming into the gimmick of this boss fight, which there are 3 cores that we're going to have to fight. The first one, we're fighting by ourselves. The next one, we have Goofy. And then the final one, we have Full Party. And they're all going to have varying degrees of Heartless, including the first one is Albert here, also known as Shadows. Then the next one's going to have the Dark Balls. And then the final one is just going to be a room filled with Invisibles. So those very troublesome enemies from earlier before, they're coming back. And it's going to be fun. Now we're going to be dealing with some Spike Laser, for lack of a better term, friends. I don't know what you call them, they're just laser guns. This big one first. Got that one. I just want to target the one in the middle, just to be safe. Now we're going into core 2. Just like we did earlier, we're going to use Firaga spam.
Fire!
Occasionally, these enemies will drop items like Mega Potions, Mega Ethers, and things like that. Those are a little useful, but what we really want, ideally, is the Invisibles will drop Elixirs. Which, if we can get extra of those, we will never turn them down. Core? Now we're coming in to fight the face. Yes. First. There we go.
Heal! Defense! Heal!
Oh, wow. Okay, that was a first. Add another one to do that's never happened before. How many times have I died right now? Like 3 or 4?
Somewhere around there?
Alrighty.
Up 3, maybe?
I think it was 3. I'm going to guess 3. That's really only been the first time that's happened. I guess I just wasn't paying attention to that. Whoopsie doo.
Heal! 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 Heal!
Yep. Okay, now we're going on to the final core, and with that we're going to be on the final 3, the final 2 rather, bosses. Once again, like last time, we're just gonna go ahead and use gravity spam. Yo, we learned sliding dash. Check that out. Unfortunately, we can't equip it. And it doesn't do that much anyway. Yeah, good. That was a very clean 4-3. Now, we're coming into what I like to call the Ghost Machine, who is the only boss in the game that is affected by gravity. And he's not just affected by gravity, he is very, very affected by gravity. So we're gonna target him, and there goes his health. Just do that a few times. There we go. Use the Mega Elixir for everybody. And now we're coming into the final boss. So time is coming up. Time is going to be when I get the final hit in on Ansem here. Cast Air just to be safe. Just flying into him, trying to get in as much damage as we can while he's doing this attack. There is a form of gravity wall behind us. We need to make it let you get all of our allies back. Get combos in. Cast arrow once again.
Welcome to darkness. Turn to darkness. Welcome to darkness.
And time. Run time up.
Just let stream delay come through for a little bit. I can give you your final time.
Alright, no worries.
It's gonna take a second. That is 2:44:14.
That's still pretty good. I will take that. Even with everything that went wrong, that's still a very, very good time. I will 100% take that. Just as like a quick check with staff, whether they be in the Discord on the chat, is it cool if I show off 2 glitches really quick? They're very, very short and they're just very funny. Okay, I just got the word that we cannot. That's okay though. So once again, I just want to give a really big shout out to the entire Kingdom Hearts community for being super welcoming, and to Power Up of Pride for letting me be here. It is with a heavy heart that I'm going to have to say though that I am going to be stepping away from the game for a little while. So thank you to you guys for letting this be my last run, as weird of a run as it was. But it was a wonderful time, and I'm super happy to have been able to help as much as I can. So with that, I'm actually just going to go ahead and pass it over, and I really look forward to the rest of the runs, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much.